in place once.
Hey, Suzanne.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I am well. I thought I would attend.
All right, everybody is here. Finance Committee will be called to order at 6:03. And Dawn, are you having a formal meeting or?
Yes, I'm going to call the Board of Selectmen at 6:03 also.
So the reason I wanted the Finance Committee to get together this evening was really just to go through formally the articles. Corey, I don't know if you brought a copy or not. There's a copy for you. Go through the articles in the motion and confirm or not confirm on each one that the Finance Committee is in support of the action being recommended in the article. Don, I'm not sure if you have anything specific on any of them you want to talk on. What I thought we could just do is kind of go through them quickly.
Yeah.
And, we'll take a vote. I don't know if the Board of Select is going to vote on them or not
It's on our agenda for
Monday.
the 8th.
for Monday. Okay, so you'll know where we stand on all of them.
Yep.
Anyone have any questions or comments? Steve, Corey?
No.
Okay. So I gave each one of you a copy of it. Paul, I can actually copy if you guys want one. You can kind of share it. I guess I have a question that I don't know the answer to. We've gone through the articles before and reviewed and voted on them. We've never addressed the motions. Is there a need to address the motions? As far as if we approve the article where the motion is just the language you're going to use when you present it.
Yeah, that's town council.
We've never did that before. So I was curious. I looked at it, I printed it just in case there was a protocol that you guys thought we needed to go through the motions also, but I was just going to do the articles.
I think once we voted the actual articles to go on the thing, we gave you the motions too.
Yes, you did. Yeah. Yeah, no, I've got the motions. You did.
Oh, you did get them?
Yeah. I just didn't know if, I wasn't planning for the FinCom to do anything on the motions unless there was something you all were looking for.
No, we're waiting for council to give an opinion on the motions.
And when I went through them, I noticed a few, I guess what I call nits and lights of wording and double words a couple of times and things like that. I'm assuming, Corey, you saw the same thing. You're shaking your head. The town council will clean that up. We don't have to worry about that. Okay. All right, so let's go through the articles in a fairly concise manner here if we can. The first one, Article 1, is to see if the town will vote to appropriate from available funds in the treasury by transferring from available funds the sum of $6,000 from free cash to fund the assessor stabilization account 8814-1040 or take any action there too. This is the one that we submitted as the FinCom, and the purpose for this one is every 3 years, they have to do a reevaluation of property values and everything like that. So I think Paul Chet started that practice of putting money in reserve so that every 3 years, you're not suddenly trying to come up with $20,000 to pay for it. So it's just it's really a budgetary management step. I'm the one that wrote it and put it in. I thank the Board of Selectmen for putting it in. You guys have any questions on it or comments?
No.
No? Okay. I would make a motion then that we approve as presented Article 1.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And that's really all I want to do in all of these, just so we can formally approve them unless you guys have some comments or
Understood.
concerns or questions. Article 2, to see if the town will appropriate from available funds in the treasury, free cash, the sum of $5,000 for Parks and Recreation to maintain right field and town common to Parks and Recreation account. That language is a little stumbly.
Mhm.
Account number is 0100-637-5471. Any thoughts or comments?
The only comment I have is when it says maintenance, that playground equipment. So someone could mention that, right? And $5,000 to replace playground equipment. That's pretty old.
I was just gonna ask, do we have an explanation other than maintenance, landscaping?
Landscaping, I get. Maintenance is a different thing.
That's
Right.
basically what it is the landscaping and keeping it up,
Okay, so it's not the playground.
not the playground.
Not the baseball field.
No, because they've never had any responsibility for any of that. And this was kind of like here's a little bit of money to at least maybe do the
Cut the grass.
field or, yeah.
Okay, I'm cool with that.
That to be the start for this fiscal year.
Understood.
And then hopefully assuming they accept responsibility for the common in the field, right field, which I don't think we've heard yet. In the next budget, they may say, we think we need a $10,000 budget in the next fiscal budget.
Are we responsible if anybody gets hurt there though?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
So that playground equipment.
it's insured.
That's the only
It's all
thing.
It
insured.
is insured though.
Okay.
Just recently went over all this with
Yeah,
the
okay.
carrier. We're all set.
All right, cool.
And
That's all.
and I think the one comment there, the question I had, or just maybe reminder, I guess I should say, is this is the first time Parks and Rec is doing this. And when we talked about this initially, there was some discussion around the fact that someone has to mentor them a little bit, how they go about funding and spending money, and I know Maribel is involved, but I just wanted to reiterate that point. That's the only concern I had voiced before, is who's going to be in charge, because this is kind of like a new venture for them. So
Who's pulling the purse strings? Or
Yeah.
holding the purse
Yeah.
strings?
yeah.
Exactly.
And I don't think that's a question for tonight. I just think that's something we all have to be cognizant of going forward, that, this is a group that probably may need a little help with some of that.
Well, that's what Maribel said at the last meeting.
Oh, okay,
They're gonna have their meeting, Parks and Rec, and come back to us
okay,
with a proposal on how they're gonna set it up.
okay. Works for me. I mean,
Yeah, I'm
you
cool.
guys have any concerns
No.
or? I would propose a motion that Article 2 that we just discussed be approved as presented.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Article 3, to see if the town will vote to transfer $1,611.52 from account 910-75713, which is the treasurer's unemployment account, to the Board of Assessors wage account, which is account number 14125114, or take any action relative thereto. The explanation that has been provided is pretty straightforward. It's to compensate assessor's employee for leave time not previously compensated for. Either
Is
one,
that identified by us or by the town accountant?
it wasn't by us, so I'm assuming it came from,
It was identified by them.
Who's it been verified by?
We,
Sorry.
we don't know what she takes for vacation time or anything like that. We never knew that. So we found out that she has not been taking any time, because being part-time, she didn't think she was entitled.
Yeah.
Well, according to the bylaw, they are entitled. So for 2 years, she hasn't taken anything. And that's kind of making up for.
Seems reasonable to me.
Yes, it does.
God.
Agreed.
and the other question that came up in the past on this, Corey, was why is it coming from the unemployment account? And that's currently funded, I can go back and look, but I think it's $20,000 that's sitting there.
It was
Been on,
1,000 total,
right, but
extra in the
that
treasurer's
grouping.
account. And Aaron took 20 and put it in unemployment and 20 in Medicare.
Yes.
And we're not going to use either one of those.
So there's plenty of surplus funds there. So this is a way to, instead of appropriating additional funds, you're just transferring funds that are currently in the budget. No impact on the town from that perspective, at least on the town's budget. And that's why it's coming out of there. And you'll notice, Corey, I know you missed the meeting we had when we talked about this, but just there's 2 or 3 of them that do that. I think the total added up to around $16,000 roughly, if I remember, of just moving some of those funds, putting them to better use without asking the town to vote on spending additional money.
Yep.
Any questions, comments on that one?
No.
Okay, so I would propose that we, or propose a motion that Article 3 would be approved by the Finance Committee as written.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Article 4, to see if the town will vote to appropriate from available funds in the treasury the sum of $16,000 for the PEG charter funds
Thank you.
into a new line item account named Cable Access Account in order to maintain the town's cable access channel and other town media access. So my one comment on this is I think someone needs to explain why the money's where it is.
So that money gets transferred from Spectrum into us, but I'd imagine when we do our cable renewal, and this is what I mentioned before when I was on the committee, money came in there for us to maintain a public access channel. We didn't buy that equipment because it's too much and nobody's here full time to maintain an actual professional camera, to do that, put it up, maintain the channel. It was just a lot. So I don't know if the cable access committee, like, there's money in there that we're allowed to use. It's been given to us. Cool, done. But when that renewal comes up, I don't know if more money's coming into there because we're gonna, mention that no more town cable access channel, right?
Can I interject just because I was involved in the whole cable access process?
Yeah.
So with the cable and internet committee, with respect to the renewal that you guys just voted on last week, Stephen, I believe you said that a contract that did not have the cable access verbiage went to the Board of Selectmen and to town council.
That's
Now,
correct.
was that the contract that was approved on Monday?
No,
Or was it the original contract that still had the cable access grant funding that was approved?
yeah, you're right. That had everything included in it.
We might need to talk about
It's
that.
too late.
Okay.
Okay, so in my opinion, and this is just an accounting opinion, that money that they have provided us to maintain a cable access channel is not really ours because we didn't use it according to the contract. And they also should not be funding future payments to OPAM because we are not going to maintain a cable access channel.
I agree with that. Because that,
So, and I don't think that we can legally use the money they've sent to us in the past because we did not fulfill our side of the bargain in the contract. We did not maintain a cable access channel.
well,
So
the
any of the money that was received, and I've done grant accounting. We have not fulfilled part of our part of the contract.
So, and again, I had talked to him about that, right? I agree with future, right? We shouldn't be getting any more money from them for that. But the past money, that thing was just sitting there. It wasn't maintained. It wasn't kept going. It was there, right? I mean, it was we signed what was it, 20-year or 10? It was 10 years that there was a cable channel, something happened to it. They didn't know about it. Like, they knew about it. They
knew.
know.
They
were
knew.
notified several times.
And then, okay, they never did anything about it. Over and done with. I'm saying for the future, it's a little dicey.
I mean,
Right now,
Yeah,
legal
so
counsel
I-
has this issue.
Okay, all right, legal
Yeah.
I'm cool with that.
Legal
So
counsel.
if I could ask a question, what you're trying to do here though is move the PGE funds that we collected.
What we have to do is that account the money goes into is a receiving account.
Yes.
You cannot expend without a town meeting vote, any funds in there.
we were never able to spend any of that money
Right.
because we never adopted the spending account.
Right. So
But the
now
money is sitting in the general account or in an account,
sitting in a special account.
special account now.
Separate.
It was in the general at one point, was it not?
Yes,
Then we
yes,
moved it?
yes, it was.
It was, and then we
It was.
moved it.
Yes, it was.
And 2 years ago,
Was it in the general fund?
So I remember because we looked through the line items, right? And it was going into one account number and I think we fixed it we moved the last time.
in 2020, the town meeting
2020,
adopted
21.
an article to create that special receiving account.
Yes,
It wasn't there before.
yes, I agree.
It was going into general prior to that. I think.
That town council asked that question
I
yesterday.
know what town council asked.
Yeah, so we found it in the 2020 book.
Because we had talked, I remember
I
being,
remember it coming up in the
Yeah,
town
yeah.
meeting.
I remember
So,
that.
yeah, all right, so the account is there,
Now,
Yeah,
yeah,
now it's there.
Right.
It wasn't there before.
But it
Yeah.
wasn't always,
but you cannot expend that. fund
without the
without
town
a
meeting,
vote.
right?
Right, that's what council said.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
so this is moving it to a point where you can spend it.
right.
Right.
But the question then still is, do we have the right to spend it?
He said we do. So that's all.
Who said we do? John
Uh,
Mahar?
Council,
Oh, council said
Council.
we have to spend it?
Yes.
Okay.
And this isn't money that charter's just being nice and giving us.
No,
This
we-
is something that the
comes out of our
taxpayer, or
we-
the townspeople have been
Cable people,
paying.
Right,
into-
our cable bill pays for it.
Exactly.
yeah, it's not a grant.
There's no way it's a
No.
grant.
Right, right.
They don't give
No.
grants.
Not at all.
So that's my thing. It's like, we pay for this and
Uh-huh.
that might, where does this money come from? Well, we pay for it in our cable bill.
And just because we haven't done anything with it, doesn't mean we can't and shouldn't.
I don't know.
So like I was opposed to taking it out, stopping the collection.
Okay.
Just because we weren't doing it in the past. So I was happy when I saw that it stayed in the agreement.
I like that.
I just want to say for the record, I do support Suzanne's interpretation of it.
Yeah.
So I do, but just to play devil's advocate, I do want to ask the question, is there any wiggle room in the contract on that definition of cable channel?
It says cable. It's very, and the article is very clear.
But I'm saying if it's very generic, do you have what wiggle room on that definition? What would qualify as a cable?
I mean, the article that was approved where it's sitting says cable.
So cable means anything that goes over a cable. That's the definition of it.
So who's to say it's not?
So I get my
recorded meetings?
I'm asking, does our YouTube channel?
I don't see why it wouldn't. but-
Because if I don't have a cable box in my house, but I have Spectrum over my IP, that it's coming over a cable. It still comes into my house through a cable. That is the definition of cable. It did not say over a separate, because coax, your cable also includes telephone, just letting you know. So that legal definition is there. But anyway, Suzanne?
I thought the contract specifically said that it was for a public access channel, but I could be wrong.
I'm trying to find it in the.
And I'm just asking, does it say something it's broadcast 24/7 on channel 3?
No.
And it will display all town
No.
information
No,
and events upcoming?
no.
That's all I'm asking.
It was very legally broad.
Okay.
That whole contract was very legally broad.
But at the time it was written, probably both parties wanted it to have a lot of
That's it. I think that's.
expansion
No, I agree.
potential.
The revenue account is known as the PEG Access and Cable Related Fund.
Related.
Understood.
That's what we adopted.
Okay, cool. I just want to make sure we're all clear when it comes.
So I guess I would say that assuming town council ultimately agrees that this article is correct, I would propose, because I think it should be done. It's up to you guys to really, I would propose a motion that the finance committee accept Article 4 with the intent of making the available funds of $16,000 from the PEG charter funds move to the cable access account on the condition that town council endorses final language. Because I think there's still some questions that have to be answered by them that none of us are attorneys. We shouldn't be trying to answer them.
And before I second it, so just remember, just so that we're all clear, it was in a general, we were receiving it in general, then we moved it to PEG.
Yep.
And now we're moving it to another account called cable access, because it's from the receiving account to where we can spend it.
But it still can only be spent for lawful purposes. So,
Yeah.
Of course, no,
Yeah.
nobody's questioning that.
but I mean, so creating the article, approving the article, still it can't be spent unless
Unless
it's
it's
lawful.
legitimate
So,
and lawful.
And that's, you're saying that from a explanation perspective.
yeah, I mean, so like if you're concerned about whether you support it, it's not going to be spent if it's not.
No, I'm
appropriate.
I'm a total support of it. I just want to make sure that I can help explain if the question comes up.
I'm not speaking for Steve, but I've seen towns spend money unlawfully. So I think that's why the FinCom just wants to make sure that town council's on board. And if they're on board, I'm on board.
Yeah, so I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. I think that's the best we can do on that one until we know what they
Understood.
say.
All right.
Article 5, see if the town will vote to appropriate from available funds in the treasury, free cash by transferring $2,000 into the cemetery commission expense account, 491-75701, to pay for engineering costs for the replacement of the arch at the Greenway Hollow Cemetery. I think the explanation that we've had in prior discussions are pretty straightforward. And this is really just to hire the engineering to comply with town ordinances before they move forward. And I believe the Board of Selectmen has already approved ARPA funds for the actual work. You've got that set aside. So this is really just to approve the $2,000 for the engineering work. You guys, questions?
No, I've followed this one very carefully, so.
Corey, any
No.
questions? Okay.
And they may not even need it in the end, but we haven't heard an update
No.
as to whether or not they had funding. They may have had funding, but it was put in just in case they didn't get funding.
But if we fund it and they don't need it,
It goes
just goes
back.
back into the general fund at the end of the year.
So at the meeting, they may say, we don't need it.
So we might
Could
just
be
strike-
passed over.
So we just might strike that article?
Right.
Okay.
Alan, are we able to go into executive session in the middle of this discussion briefly? Or do we have to stay recording?
I don't think we can.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure. I'm not
Unless it meets one of the,
48-hour notice.
48-hour notice.
Okay.
We'll have to wait.
Could you read that one again for me, please?
Sure. To see if the town will vote to appropriate from available funds in the treasury, free cash, by transferring $2,000 into the cemetery commission expense account 491-75701 to pay engineering costs for the replacement arch at the Green Hollow Cemetery.
Thank you. You said Greenway before.
Did I really?
I just wanted to make sure the right name, that the
Thank
right
you.
name of the right cemetery is on there.
I was probably thinking of the Greenway $1,000.
I think so, yeah.
So I would propose that the finance committee support this article as written. Any further questions or comments?
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Article 6, to see if the town will vote to establish a revolving account pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53E and a half. Is that a half?
Half.
Don? Okay.
Yeah, I have.
And town law, bylaw, section 23, to receive fees from the police pistol permits that are paid to the treasurer beginning on July 1st, 2024, or take any action relative thereto. The account shall have a limit of $5,000.
This is part of that legislation that came out of the House last year in the Senate, where they're slicing the amount of time you have to renew your pistol permit a lot more now. So
You may be able to drop that.
Okay.
Town accountant said that this money has been going into the funds of the town.
General fund, the 25% that should be going to the police.
Has been going in there. Now, that hasn't been the way it's always been, because we adopted this back in 2009,
but I thought this was,
because there was a 53 exemption
Mhm.
in there. And then in 2014, something changed.
Yeah, I recall we discussed this at one of your earlier meetings.
So going through all the records, something changed. And now it just goes into the general fund.
Or someone just started
It's
making a
not
mistake.
specific to the PD. It's in the general fund. If we want to make it specific, we got to increase his budget by whatever.
So when it goes back into the police budget, they can then use it to offset some wage expense or something like that.
But yeah, the cost of the officer doing.
The cost of doing the work for the permits and everything.
so this isn't anything with new legislation. This is like something.
This is correcting
Okay.
something
Oh,
that-
it's correcting something. Okay, all right.
So actually, like I said, you don't even need that. We can drop that right off there because it's already going to general fund.
And you're just gonna reassign it back to where it's supposed to be,
When we do FY 25, we'll reassign.
that. So, I see no need to vote on it unless you guys have an
No.
issue with what Don's saying. That makes good sense. I mean, because I remember the prior discussion that you were saying there was a period of time when it did go to the police and then something happened.
Something changed.
Someone made a line item change somewhere and maybe accidentally, who knows?
Yeah, and in the meantime, we talked to the accountant and this is what she said. This is general fund money. Leave it.
And so in fiscal year 25, it's going to stay general fund?
If we want to allocate more to the PD, we'll do it in the regular
You'll do it in the budget.
budget.
So we'll not vote on,
Are we striking 6 then?
should we officially say it's struck, Don, or? Okay, so
I
it's
would.
done. Let's move on to Article 7. To see if the town will vote to appropriate from available funds in the treasury by transferring $1,850 from the treasurer's unemployment account 910-757-13 to the Board of Health part-time wages account 51-5102-5114. And really, this is to increase the work hours from 3 to 5 for the Board of Health's admin, I believe.
Chairman of the Board of Health. He's right here. Any comments? Can you explain to us?
That is what we requested, yes.
Okay, so, with COVID being kind of, kind of going down, obviously, whatever, but what is what are you doing with the increased 2 hours? That's all.
The admin did nothing with COVID.
So then what are the extra 2 hours for?
It was what I had been doing as the chair of the Board of Health.
So general admin?
Yeah, it's processing permits.
Okay, all right.
It's the regular, it takes,
It's the regular town operation.
yes,
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 yeah.
that.
So like.
We had requested last year to be funded.
Okay,
And so fortunately, because it wasn't filled right away and now it's vacant again, we're probably not going to need it all, but if we can get it filled, we'll start using it again. Right now, I'm doing the work of the admin.
Any other questions?
No.
Area towns are 40 hours
Of
for that
course,
position.
Of course. Well, depending
Or
on,
20 in North Brookfield.
I mean, how many, you're doing not just restaurants too, right?
No, it's septic, it's all
Okay.
permits, trash.
Just for the sake of discussion, what's New Braintree?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
Less than North Brookfield?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I wouldn't necessarily say that they're the guide.
One of the things that's.
They don't do, not everybody does as much as OCAM does.
Yeah.
So depends on what you offer your citizens.
I agree. I mean,
Any other questions?
No.
Corey? I mean,
No, I enjoyed having him here to answer it.
But the fees brought in certainly support the additional cost. And we did, just for the record, we did propose when we even funded this position to reduce the expense line by $2,000. So there was no additional cost for even funding the position when it started. And there's a possibility that the Board of Health will further reduce its expense line to help support the budget for the next fiscal year.
because of the fees that you're taking in.
Correct.
Just for the record, I think I fully support his justification for it. And I just want to make sure that there's no appearance of impropriety, that the money that he's currently doing those extra 2 hours of work, there's no issue with that.
I don't get paid.
So where's the 1850 going?
It would go to the clerk that actually gets the employee.
If you're
I'm doing it as a volunteer.
But that's vacant right now, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the money's not being spent right now. It's being, if we hire a person for that, the funds would then be there to fund him or her in that role. But it would then relieve you of the burden.
Yeah, and there's
Spending the time on it.
a point in time where I'm not going to do it, which is why we created that position in the first place. There were months that it was 2 months waiting for payments to be processed because it was just too much.
Thank you. I just want to avoid the appearance of an
Yeah,
impropriety.
no, that's a good questions. Based on that, I would propose that the FinCom would support this at the special town meeting, Article 8, as just read
7.
and discussed.
Or is it 7?
8.
I'm reading 7.
Oh, it is 7, I'm sorry. You're right, it is 7.
Second.
You're correct.
I
I'm
second.
older than you.
That's all right, man.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Article 8, to see if the town will vote to appropriate from available funds by transferring from free cash the total of $6,000 to the town clerk's wages and expense account by placing $3,000 in wages salary account 162-25115 and $3,000 in election expense account 162-75701. This has been submitted by the town clerk, and it's to cover additional state and federal election expenses.
Yep, we have primaries coming up. And then
So I have a question here that probably the Board of Selectmen has an answer for. we currently have a temporary town clerk, Edna, and she sent me a request asking for finance committee reserve funds to pay for special elections. I sent her the paperwork and said, this is what you need to complete. And then I sent her a copy of this article. Are we, is this the same thing or are there two different things going on here?
I don't know why she requested that. We told her we put an article on the,
I
actually,
sent her the article, a copy.
Chris is the one that put the article on.
Okay.
So I was anticipating it.
She sent me, this was between the Christmas and New Year break.
Yeah,
So I did send her the paperwork that would be required to request reserve funds
yeah.
and told her that it needs Board of Selectmen approval. But I didn't know if there was some other charges besides these 6,000 that we're trying to figure out how to cover. And I was going to ask why we weren't including it all in one if there's more charges.
No, that would be the same.
So it's just a duplication as far as we know.
I think she had a personal opinion based upon her past experience as a treasurer that why would it have come from that account versus this one that Chris put in.
Because it's not an emergency.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not an emergency and you have a special town meeting already scheduled where it appropriately fits into the meeting.
Exactly.
So, okay, so I just didn't know if we still had something coming. That's why I want you to know that we did get that request from her
Okay.
over the holiday. And I responded to her and figured we would learn more about it today. So,
Yep.
But that's the first we've heard of it.
okay.
Hmm.
Maybe there was just a crossing of communication.
Yeah, I'm sure.
That's all. I have no issues with it, either one of you.
No.
In that case, I would propose a motion that the FinCom will support Article 8 as drafted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Article 9, if the town will vote to appropriate from available funds by transferring $7,342.44 from the treasurer's unemployment account, 910, 75713, same as last time, and place it in the library part-time wages account, 102-5114. The explanation on this one is it's to increase, to fund wage COLA increases that were left out of the annual town meeting so that the town can maintain the 2 employees in the building during hours of operation. I recall the 2-hour commitment was made by the Board of Selectmen and supported by the Finance Committee a few years back, and we had to,
Employee,
pardon?
2 hour or 2 employee.
2 employees in the building so that you don't have 1 employee over there by him or herself. Just anything ever happen. And you've got 2 levels, so you want an upper, lower person is sort of part of the rationale, I believe, that was behind it. So I had no questions with this one. I don't know if Corey or Steve, if either one of you do.
No.
They do a lot with very little.
Yep.
I support this.
Same.
Okay, so I would propose a motion that the Finance Committee will support Article 9 as presented and just discussed.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Article 10, to see if the town will vote to appropriate from available funds in the treasury by transferring $6,249.28 from the treasurer's unemployment account, again, 910, 75713, to police part-time wages account, 100-210, 25114. And the explanation that summarizes this is the funds are needed for part-time police coverage and were inadvertently left out of the budget at the annual town meeting. We've discussed this one at 2 or 3 different Board of Selectmen meetings that I participated in. I think we discussed it at least 1 or 2 FinCom meetings. It just, you know, the funds were taken out tied to the part-time admin person. And then when we elected to keep the admin person, this is a big part of it, kept the admin person, the funds were not put back into the budget. So just an oversight is correcting that.
How much money are we gonna have left in the unemployment account? With all these
The
moves?
total movement was a little over 16,000 and there was 20 there, so we'd have about 4 remaining.
Are we concerned? Are we concerned about having such little? Okay.
The accountant wasn't concerned at all. We used $200 in the last year.
And I went back and looked at Suzanne's 3-year history and it's pretty much a zero.
Yeah.
I think 1 year had a little bit in it for some reason.
Yeah.
But we just don't have much unemployment claims in the town, it appears so far. So it was overfunded in the budget, and I think in the 25 budget, clearly it needs a lot less. And then if there is an issue, you still have other options. The finance reserve fund is one of them, but you could always have a special town meeting to refund it if you had to.
Okay. Sounds good.
Corey, any questions?
Did that 624928 cover the investigations? Or was that a separate?
According to Fred, that is the number he needed, yeah.
Yeah, I asked him that same question, Corey, and he said that's what he needed, so he's the man. He knows what he needs, so that's what he's asking for.
No, don't forget, he's got $9,000 also that he got reimbursed from the state for wages for training. So he's already got that. So this number would have been higher, but he's already got this other money.
Thanks.
So
I'm good.
Good.
Okay, so I would propose a motion that the Finance Committee will support Article 10. All in favor? Oh, sorry, second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Aye. Okay, motion passes. Article 11, to see if the town will vote to appropriate from available funds in the treasury the sum of $2,290.97 to accountant expense account, to the accountant's expense account, software expense account 135,75222. This one's submitted by the Board of Selectmen, and this is to fund an expense that occurred in fiscal year 23 that was not paid at the time. I'm assuming is simple, a late bill came in or late invoice or,
what it was the accounting software, the renewal for the upkeep. They were doing it April to April, and we told them
Can't do that.
okay,
July to June.
Okay.
So the amount of money between April and June is,
this is the gap.
this is the gap,
Okay,
but they never billed us for it. So after July 1, we get a bill for FY
so it's
'23.
a late invoice. So we agreed to pay it
Yeah.
and then they just, was a late invoice.
Yeah.
So, you know, so
Understood.
I have no issues with
Me
it, guys.
either.
No issue.
Okay, I would propose a motion that we approve Article 11 as just reviewed.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Article 12, to see if the town will vote to appropriate from available funds in the treasury, free cash, the sum of $102.10 to balance the ambulance stabilization account 8812. This one, we overdrew the stabilization account by $102 when we closed it at the last meeting. If I remember, that was the last meeting. And this is just to cover that shortfall.
This is the account that doesn't keep.
It just keeps giving, yeah.
it
Yeah.
just keeps
It never
giving.
goes
Yeah,
away.
It never goes away. All right.
So I have no questions on this one. I mean, it's pretty straightforward.
Yep.
I would propose the Finance Committee supports Article 12 as written.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Article 13, to see if the town will vote to appropriate from available funds in the treasury, free cash, $10,000 to fund the Highway Department Snow and Ice Contracted Services account or take any action relative thereto. This particular one, last year, Kevin brought forward the fact that he was having, you might have been at the meeting, Corey, I can't recall, but he brought forward the fact that they were having trouble with drivers, et cetera, and that he was going to have to get some contract employees. That was funded out of, was it funded out of ARPA?
It was a special article.
Okay, I know there was something that funded it, but that was for 1 year. So this is actually refunding it. And I think we will put it in the budget in the fiscal year 25 when we get to it is my intent if it's asked for. I realize Kevin's retiring, but somebody will be there that will want snow and ice in that budget.
So when you say contracted services, we're not talking about putting up a sign and saying who wants to plow. This is like, we got to go to a third party.
Third-party services.
Okay. Just making sure I'm correct. I'm
Yeah,
good.
that's how I understood it. I mean, Don,
Yeah, no,
that's how you guys understand it.
Go to the outside,
Yeah. Because nobody wants to do it.
right.
Right.
I'm good.
I'm good.
Okay. I would propose a motion then that Article 13 be approved or be endorsed by the Finance Committee as drafted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Article 14, to see if the town will vote to amend Article 23 revolving funds of the general bylaws is authorized by Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53E and a half, to increase the cap on Council on Aging from the current $5,000 to a $10,000 cap or take any action relative thereto. This one's submitted by the Council on Aging. And their explanation simply is that they believe they may exceed the $5,000 fee or a $5,000 amount with some of their increased programming. I know there was quite a discussion on that at a Board of Selectmen's meeting a few meetings back. I know, Lucy, you had some concerns, but I think the Selectmen did a vote and had approved these funds, this funded increase as part of that meeting or a prior meeting, if I recall.
There's still a caveat with it that it is not a savings account
Yeah.
and it cannot be looked upon as a savings account. It's money in, money out for their programs. Yes,
Good.
And I think that's wise words for all of the revolving accounts.
it is. It is. Every single one of them, that money has to be used.
And the state
cannot be
is looking
saved.
at these more, so.
Question, so if it doesn't, let's say you use $9,000, where's the 1,000 go? Back to,
It stays.
stays in there?
You
Okay,
you can have up to 10,000.
okay, what happens if it goes over that? 'Cause
It comes to
it
the
general?
town general fund.
Okay, that's, yeah, don't worry.
That's what happens here.
If I may, okay, Paul Rochette from Gaffney Road. One of the things where they have a coordinator now trying to schedule different events.
Mhm.
There are chances where the OCAM coordinator might coordinate, say like a trip
Of course.
and include other towns, okay? So the $5,000 current limit would prevent probably some of these trips from being able to bring all the funds in. I know they have to be spent out after,
Okay,
but they would prefer to have a higher limit.
I agree.
That's a little more comfort zone
I agree.
to be able to bring the amount of funds in to hold until they have to utilize them for the trip.
I agree. I'm just wondering, like, if you don't use it all right, it comes back to general funds and then whatever. I just want to, because you guys mentioned the savings account thing. I agree that they need more, stuff costs more money these days. I mean, stuff ain't cheap.
Absolutely.
I'm just saying, like, if you don't use it all, it comes back to us. And then we still going to give you 10 grand the next fiscal year. Okay.
Well, they don't get 10 grand.
That's their limit of
If
savings.
they collect
of earnings.
fees
They have to
up to
raise it.
10 grand, they can then expend the 10 grands for authorized uses.
Okay, so we're not paying for this.
No.
There's no budget involved, no, from us.
No.
Town's not funding it.
It's just tax-free thing.
Thank you to Aaron. He
Yeah.
jumped on what I was going to ask.
Okay, all right, yeah.
I wanted clarification. It sounded like
Yeah, that's what it sounded.
They already get
zero cost.
15,000 in their budget. I forget what
Oh, at
the
least-
council on aging budget is.
At least it was 16 something
Yeah.
last year.
So
Okay.
this is just for in and out.
Money they
Yeah.
raise.
Right,
They
that's
then
what you're talking
spend
about with the other towns.
on their
and stuff.
events.
Okay,
Yeah.
I get what you.
And the thing about the revolving account is it takes away the June 31st deadline, okay?
Yes.
Say they have a trip scheduled for the end of August or something like that. You know, they have no place to put a collection of funds because it's going to disappear.
So people could be paying like May and June, they would collect the funds, but the trip's in August. So therefore,
Whether
the
it's
funds,
in August or
The
the
money
next
will
December,
stay.
whatever.
whatever, yeah, the
money
funds would
will
just
stay.
sit
The
there.
fund is still
Okay, makes sense.
earmarked for that program.
Understood.
Along with the caveat, and the reason I put that in was that way back when we did have a revolving account in the 1990s, DOR came in, said nope, and took it.
Mhm.
And we had $7,000 saved in it to buy a van, and they didn't care. They just took it and eliminated the whole revolving account.
Hmm.
So if something like that happens, we have no control over it.
Okay.
Okay.
They can do that just
I know
by
they
showing up, and that's what they did. They just showed up at the town hall and went through all the revolving accounts to every department.
And they felt it was being used as a savings account,
Yep,
which is.
they said we had
was
too
the
much,
fault of whoever was
we
in
had too
charge then
much
should not
money.
have been doing that.
but we had a purpose for it, but they didn't care.
Yeah.
So needless to say, we have no van.
So just follow up on that. If we're upping the limit from 5 to 10, does that reintroduce that issue?
It reintroduces the potential for more
Potential.
funds to be in the account than if it was 5,000, because so you could have a higher amount and it could possibly, I think, raise an eyebrow more so than if it was at 5. But I think the explanation that everything costs much more nowadays if they start going on one of these trips, as the example that was put forward, It's, to me, it seems like a reasonable amount, Corey. I mean, it's not asking for 50,000. It's saying we want to go up to 10 from our current 5.
Who doesn't want to go to Hawaii?
And I hear that, I'm just wondering, Lucy's saying the town lost 7,000.
I think it was because it was in a different type of account.
And it was many years, was it
Many
a
years,
long
back in the
time ago
90s.
that it was kept there?
The Board of Selectmen had been giving us, they had set up a program with the Council on Aging for a revolving account, and every year they would give us $1,000 until we earned enough money to purchase a van. It went into a revolving account, but we never had a chance to take it out because we never got the opportunity to buy a van and got no prices. So they just,
So as many years, so this is, I think the Board of Selectmen, when we voted to let this go to town meeting, it was, let's give them a chance. They've reconstituted a
Mhm.
new committee. Let's see what they can do rather than tying their hands this past year. But with caution, it can't be a savings account.
Exactly.
We really want you to use this money.
as long as they see the money going in and coming out, going in and coming out for the events that the money is saved for. That was the one thing we couldn't do because we didn't have enough money to buy a van all of a sudden.
Lucy, was the money going in back in 1990, town funds being appropriated into it?
Yes,
That's
So
what,
that's
Yeah.
truly a savings.
Yeah.
That's truly acting like a savings account there. You're taking it from
It
your
wasn't a
general
fee.
fund.
It
Wasn't a
was.
permit.
but,
these
yeah.
are town funds.
Town fees.
That's,
Yeah.
that's the whole purpose of it.
But it's just their perspective when they come to look at it, that they don't see that money moving,
Right.
they're going to look at it the same way.
I get it.
Any other questions?
I think.
Yeah.
Can that account be used to subsidize any of the Council of Aging events? So if the fee
Oh,
was gonna.
sure.
If the
That's what
fee
it's
was
for,
gonna be
yeah.
$50, can they say the fees only, we've already collected enough this year, instead of $50 fee, the fees are gonna be 20 going
Right.
forward?
Yes, they can.
That's the benefit of having that, you know,
Yes.
program to offset other programs.
Okay.
That's why we wanted to set it up. Yeah.
I'm
It
comfortable
does
we
help.
won't lose the money with the way it's currently being funded.
I am also, Corey. Any other questions, guys?
You.
All right, I will propose a motion that we accept Article, lost my track here. There it is, Article 14, as written and just discussed.
Second.
All in favor? Motion passes. Article 15 is one that I think I know where I stand on it. I support it fully, but I'm not sure there's a reason for the Finance Committee to vote
Nope,
upon it.
It is not.
I mean, this is not a financial issue. This is a town policy issue,
Yes.
and there's no money involved. Therefore, I'm going to not do anything on it other than,
I'm happy to weigh in as a town resident.
Same.
I agree with Alan. I see no reason as a FinCom member for us to vote on it.
yeah, no, it's,
Yep.
Is this the flag one?
this is the flag one, yeah.
Can I give an update on this? So I attended a conference today, which provided further insight. It was very well attended from the Mass Municipal Association. OCAM has a long history of a policy of it being the municipal speech, that flagpole. It's the municipal government speaking by the flags it puts up there. OCAM has never allowed groups to put flags on. Although we don't currently have a written policy, the council said it is the policy of the town of Ocam that only the government flags be posted. However, they said the municipal government, the Board of Selectmen, or its town administrator, or its city council could adopt a policy to not allow public speech on its flagpole. So I asked the question, do you really need a town bylaw? You don't. The Board of Selectmen could simply say it is the policy written now, that it only be the speech of the town. It's elected Board of Selectmen, what flags go on the flagpole could not be debated. The debate would be if the townspeople said, we don't like what they're agreeing on, what flags not to put up, then they vote them out of office. That's how you change the policy of the town. They said a bylaw certainly makes it harder to change, but it also makes it so that let's say there's Pearl Harbor Day, some anniversary of the Constitution being founded. The way we have it written, we wouldn't be able to put anything up there. So recommendation was made or by proclamation of the Board of Selectmen. So as we have it written, and adding the language or by proclamation of the Board of Selectmen. So that was the only recommendation I took from it, is we could leave it as is, but would never be able to put anything else on it, even if we felt it to be appropriate, speaking for the government of the town. Or we put up a temporary flagpole if we really had a strong opinion on it. So,
Got to fly that Arbor Day flag.
Yeah.
I mean, and there are towns that do it, so, but that was the only thought.
This is only related to the flagpole, nothing, not the comment. It's like putting up whatever you want on.
So it's basically because we have a policy unwritten of it not being a public flagpole. If we had allowed the scouts to put up a flag, we then cross the line, it then becomes
Public domain.
municipal it's discrimination
Yep.
based upon a subject. Whereas we haven't done that, it's been our policy. But it then limits, unless we go to a town meeting, to put anything that we choose to put up.
I think that's,
Unless we add that wording.
It's subject to a proclamation by the Board of Selectmen. So that would be my thought, is we should add that language. So if the finance doesn't need to comment, then we can do that at the next
Yeah,
meeting.
that's-
What's the burden of proof that we've never put a Boy Scout flag up there?
I guess, so in the Supreme Court, went to the US Supreme Court.
it's public school.
They looked at all of the history in Boston. Boston has 3 flagpoles. They have a American flagpole, a state flagpole, and a city flagpole, but sometimes a pride flag, a
BLM.
Red Sox flag. And any group who has ever requested to put their flag up has always been approved until a Christian group requested the Christian flag to be raised, and the Boston City Council said, we feel like this is a separation of church and state. And the Supreme Court said, you've never said no, so you've allowed everything. And now you're judging one group over another. So you've now crossed that line. So
I'm just asking if
they looked through all of their records. Every application that was ever submitted was approved until that one. We've never had any application.
Do you remember a time when flag was put up?
I don't, I'm just playing devil's advocate.
Yeah.
And saying if the, the Arbor Day people come and really want to put that flag up, what burden falls on the town to prove we never flew the Boy Scout?
But if we had a request today and last month, 4 years ago, we did put up a flag, it would have to be approved.
Yeah.
We cannot refuse it, or we'll go to the Supreme Court. And
Thank you.
Thanks, Aaron. Good explanation. Thank you. Article 16 is to see if the town will vote to appropriate from available funds in the treasury the amount of $4,956.16 to be placed in the emergency management grant account, numbers 2362. These were funds that were secured by a state grant, but were credited into the wrong account. It says here, I assume they went into the general fund, Don, or something like that. So this is just really putting the funds back to where they belong. I had no issues. I don't know if
Nope.
either one of you have any concerns.
Don't.
I would propose a motion that Article 16 be supported by the FinCom as drafted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. 17, to see if the town will vote to place $100,000 of free cash into the general stabilization account or take any action there too.
Why?
The big reason why I say why is we currently have in the general stabilization account, $609,000. Funds that are in the stabilization account require a 2/3 vote by the town to spend in a town meeting or a special town meeting. So it puts an additional layer of security for the town in place by having it in the stabilization fund versus leaving it in the general fund. And our general fund is
So it's to help
well
the-
funded.
So
So the
it's,
free cash is well funded.
okay, so
It's just a safe, better place for the money to be.
Understood.
And I know the Board of Selectmen, I believe you're looking at possible better investment options for
Yeah.
those funds so that we're not living on a 10.1% interest or something like that. So they're looking into that.
10% interest?
No,
Where's
point,
that?
point, point one, point 10, a tenth of.
Up.
I think
Yeah.
they're looking at like 6% or something right now as an option.
That's good.
That's awesome.
Again, I have no concerns with it. I actually supported it. I recommend that, we're much better off with funds in one of the stabilization accounts versus in free cash. It's just, there's a tendency sometimes when you have money sitting in your checkbook that you want to spend it. So if it's in stabilization, it just makes it a little more questions can be asked before it gets spent, Corey.
I agree with what you're saying. I just want to know, does the state have any guidance on a percent of the budget they want to see? Similar to free cash, they want us, as they try to cut back on free cash.
You can have as much in stabilization as you want. It's free cash, they don't want to see more than 5% of your budget.
Right, because you again, it's suddenly that we got this free cash, let's spend it.
So that was my question, Al. It's just to make sure there was no guidance from the state on a percentage for.
I'm not aware of any. And
Not on the stable.
Don, you sound like, I've never seen anything on that.
I asked.
Okay, I did not.
Yeah, they did have.
I would propose a motion that Article 17 be supported by the Finance Committee
A second,
as written.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Article 18, to see if the town will vote to place 75,000 of free cash into the capital stabilization account. Again, submitted by the Board of Selectmen, and again, discussion we've had in the past, I told them I support this for the same reason I supported the prior article, is this one is just going into the capital stabilization account. And I anticipate from some of the things I have heard at the Board of Selectmen's meetings, there's probably going to be more capital demands in the coming years. This town hall keeps coming up, but other options hopefully are still continuing to be looked at, but we need to start funding that account heavier. Right now, there is 370,000 in the capital stabilization.
Second,
No questions.
Okay, I'll propose a motion that Article 18 be approved as drafted. I know you seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Article 19, to see if the town will vote to place $11,000 of free cash into the police cruiser stabilization account. Again, this is something that the Finance Committee pressed pretty good to get set up a couple years back so that we're accruing funds to get a new cruiser. I think it's every 5 years. Is that how this was thought of?
I think
I
so.
remember. It was going to be a 5-year fund, about $50,000 seemed to be the
Yeah.
number, or 55,000 now. Maybe it's gone up a little.
That was gonna be my question. With the rise in car prices, should that number be higher?
I think it was 10,000 in prior years for some reason.
Originally it was, yeah.
It was 10.
And then when it's gone up to 11, so it's been increased by 1,000. And
There's been a significant increase in vehicle cost,
Yeah.
as we saw with the fire truck.
good point.
Just asking that question.
No, that's a good point.
How much is in there now?
Police stabilization currently has 22,214.
Two,
So this will bring it up to 33,
3 and
and we've got 2 more years to go.
4 years. And
I don't think you're buying a car for 33. I don't think you're buying a new cruiser for 66 or sorry, 55. That's all I'm saying.
which is an SUV, not even a car.
Yeah.
What did we pay for the last one? Anyone recall?
75, I think.
The last cruiser, how much was it? 40?
1,000?
It was used.
No,
No,
Yeah, I thought it was under 50 for some reason.
yeah, it was 40.
and that was a couple of years ago.
I thought it was around 43,000 that they paid.
Yeah.
Did we have a
That's
state-
kind of what I remember in that range, Paul, yes.
That seems very low.
State bid.
State bid.
Mhm.
They get a better deal than.
Yeah.
some.
Yeah.
I mean, and this is a catch up, right? Because this wasn't funded in the budget, this last one.
No,
So in, June, maybe it goes up to 12,000 or,
Annual.
right?
Yeah, we did, it just got overlooked. It wasn't funded in the annual town
I'm just
meeting.
asking the
Yeah,
question.
no, it's a good question. It isn't.
Get another idea as we approach June, what's the going rate?
Yeah, and you may have to put 15 in or something.
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe the police chief knows off the top of his head.
Yeah.
He's already eyeballing
He probably does.
them. He's got a magazine.
I would make a motion that Article 19 be supported by the Finance Committee as drafted.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Final article is number 20, to see if the town will vote to appropriate from the treasury the amount of $15,000 to conduct a financial audit for fiscal year 2023. I think you guys both know the finance committee's pushed pretty hard that we need to get back in the habit of having an audit every second or third year. I think this is a very necessary expenditure from my perspective as a chairman of the finance committee. Don, I think there's also something to do with getting bonded that we need to have this done.
Yeah, we need 3 years of audits in order to get the town bonded. This would be year 3. We did the other 2 already.
Right, awesome.
Right, and then if you went back for the third year, you had to go back to what, like 2009 or something? I mean, it was way
Mhm.
back.
Yeah, it's-
So,
Would that have impacted fire truck rates?
It will.
it would have impacted term, because we're currently on a 1-year term.
Yeah.
And until we get bonded, we will continue to roll on a 1-year term, but once we're bonded, we can get a multi-year
Does
commitment.
it affect rates and term or just term?
Rates can change, so it could change. They could go up or down. You know, we may have hit this properly, that the rates actually may be going down
Right.
by the time we get bonded and next summer rolls around.
Okay.
If we're lucky.
Thank you, Alan.
That would be nice. I would propose a motion that the Finance Committee support Article 20 as drafted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. That's all the articles. That's really all we had to go through on that area. I just wanted to have a formal review of each one of them with you guys to make sure you're in support of it. As you know, I won't say every time, but almost every time we've gone to the town meeting, the special town meeting, somebody has asked, does the Finance Committee support?
Yes.
And I would like to be able to articulate that a little better, stating we met and voted on each one of them, that we supported, and
Just a lot of cleanup. That's
Yeah.
pretty much what we're doing.
the only other thing I have on the calendar for tonight was actually new business, old business. If you guys have any, I don't, but I did have fiscal year 2025 budget progress. I know Maribel sent everything out. I don't know if Board of Selectmen sent you here. I just want to ask, has anything developed? Anyone come back with concerns about the way we're going about it? Anyone concerned
No.
with anything?
Do we have, from a budgetary perspective, have we been looking for a new highway department supervisor?
We're gonna have to advertise shortly, yeah.
Because we gotta figure that out
What's our time frame?
to the summer, right?
30th.
Hey, you've got 5 months.
I think of June 30th as.
It's close.
Yeah,
It's
it's summer, yeah.
Yeah, but it's close when you're looking for somebody and want to get them
Yeah.
up to speed and everything.
It's getting
We're still
very
looking for an
close.
Accountant, and that's been up for 2 years now, so,
And we now need a library director.
the library director.
Did the town accountant share with Rutland go away? Wasn't there discussion of sharing?
There was discussion, yeah, no, then.
No progress.
Did materialize.
with that.
Thank you.
I had no other new business. The other of you have anything that's come up? Old business? I have one piece of old business I just wanted to mention while we're all here. We've got the Mitel telephone change that's going to happen with the fiscal year 25 budget. Some thought needs to go into the 5 accounts that have currently been paying the Mitel bill. Because they should not keep those funds in their budget. They have to be pulled. It's a matter of they know, as long as the accountant can pull up, because there's a record of where it came
When the
from.
departments are making their budget, they don't know how much to deduct because they're not gonna be paying that.
Right, that's what I'm saying, Paul, is we need to research
Yeah.
this now before we get to any too far down the budget thing. That's what I say. I think it's new business that someone's got to address. I think it's probably the Board of Selectmen more than us, because we don't have access to the records.
Yep.
Someone has to go back and look at all that and figure out what the Board of Selectmen paid, figure out what the Council on Aging paid. I mean, it's there. I'm very well said, it's all there every month. She knows the records are there, and they go to the accountant. So the accountant should be able to pull it all out for us.
And we know the total Mitel bill of it.
So
So
we know the total.
just take that by the 12 and that's what the new town hall Mitel needs to be.
Should be, right.
And then,
That's the easy
Yeah.
part. The hard part is, I mean, Paul, you're right, Paul. I've already
Reduce.
thought, that's what I keep thinking about is how do you not penalize the departments that have been paying, but also they shouldn't benefit by keeping
that's right.
that money.
No, I understand it. They just don't know how much to come down.
Right.
No, we'll figure, that's what I'm saying. That's why I brought this up tonight. So
Yeah.
somebody is aware that that needs to be researched. And by the time we get the budgets back in the end of January, we should, well, it really doesn't have to be that, but shortly thereafter, within the month or so after that, before we get to finalizing the budget, we have to be able to go back to the Council on Aging as an example and say, you paid a total of $1,400 last year towards the Mitel bill, whatever it may be. So we're gonna reduce your overall budget by this amount. It came out of this account. The data's there from everything I've been told. That make sense?
Yep.
I mean, Don, Lucy, you look perplexed.
I never saw anything from Mitel deducted from any of the budgets I had done for Council on Aging during the year. I mean, I checked every month, every time we got reports back, and I never saw anything to distinguish that Mitel money was coming out of there.
It was done the same way.
And my figures still agreed with their figures.
Were they not charging?
I don't think the Council
Council
on
on Aging
Aging
in
was
the past?
charged.
No, the council never received any type of notification of what they were paying, okay?
But
When I
As
got
Lucy
my,
In the
when I
office,
got
I think
the
you're
end of my
automatically taking
budget,
it out of the grant money.
no,
they would have never done
I
that
did
without
not take them out of
Lucy's-
the grant money.
Yeah. So it might have not have happened
The
prior.
only thing I took out of the grant money was the $22.41 for the
That might be new
thing.
starting this year.
If I could suggest, I don't think this is something we're gonna solve tonight. I think, again, the reason I'm bringing it up is somebody needs to research it, someone that actually has access, which.
That's why every time I've heard something like this, I'm saying, you know, it was, granted, we've only had Mitel for what, 4 years? Ashley put it in.
Second year of COVID, first year of
That we were, when I ended the year with my budget, I always came out the same as the accountant.
COVID, without paying for.
But if the accountant had actually taken money out of ours, it would not have matched at the end of the year, but it always did.
Well, let's.
So I don't think we-
researched.
I don't
Maybe,
think we
maybe
paid
the
it.
Council on Aging never paid anything, Lucy. I
don't
don't
think
know.
we did.
But Maribel sent me an email that said the Council on Aging was being charged 10% per month.
Okay,
I mean, that's her email to me.
Yeah.
And she broke out what each department was being charged. And all I'm saying is that needs to be verified because it may or may not be true, but somebody needs to verify if it is or is not true.
right.
I've seen it
And
since
if it is
September.
true, it needs to be corrected so that, again, there isn't somebody that penalized or benefits when the new budget comes out for fiscal year 25. And if there was nothing there, then nothing changes. But someone needs to research it. And I really think that it's probably something Lori could, again, if I had access to the computers and the stuff that she has, we probably could figure it out in about an hour.
Real quick,
It's there.
has the rate stayed the same?
I can't answer that. It went up $250, $300, Don, for the current year.
Yeah.
I think it was. So it's been going up a little bit each year, not a lot.
And I think it's worth looking at all the other expenses for the building.
Mhm.
So, questions I've heard since I've been on the board, who pays for the, replacing the lights? So what is a general, really the only expense line for town hall is under the Board of Selectmen. So are there other town hall expenses that should be folded in under Board of Selectmen expense line? So
Oil.
not all departments have an expense line to pay for envelopes. The assessors don't have a expense line to pay for envelopes. So that'll be paid for by the Board of Selectmen. But Board of Health has an expense line, so we're gonna pay for it.
That's weird.
And that's probably, Aaron, each, depending on the individual personality of the person that was over that group at that point in time. That's how it was set up and there's no standard policy, which I would
I
agree
think
with
we
you. You
should
probably need
create
some
that
type
going
of
forward.
standardization so that everyone's treated equally, so someone doesn't feel like they're being mistreated.
I think with the history we have started to establish, if we wanted to standardize under each department accounts, we can now track it well. And even if they're zero budgeted, I think we have to, with the spreadsheet, you'd be able to see that which would let you have,
The spreadsheet has that detail. If you
you'd be
take
able
a
to have that uniformity if that helps.
I know the assessors used to have an account for like paper envelopes, but then it was not budgeted. So. I mean, there's I guess a philosophical question. If the treasurer does thousands of mailings, if the town clerk does thousands of mailing, should we budget within that department the expense? Or do you fold it all into one fund? Personally, I think it should be, if you know that there's a regular cost, budget it.
Yeah, if you fold it all into one fund, you're
How do you know?
opening yourself up to abuse. Not intentional abuse, but carelessness. It doesn't matter because I don't pay for it.
Right.
I'm
right.
gonna just make an extra 100
Yeah.
copies
Yeah.
to make sure we have them.
For the
So
selectmen.
you gotta be
Used to
careful.
All the
Children
departments had their own office supply account.
Yeah,
okay?
now they
They
don't.
were buying from different vendors
I
at
always kept
different
one in for the
prices. It got
confirmation.
crazy.
Did it? Okay.
That's why they
I
consolidated
always
everything
paid
into
$300.
a general office
Centralized.
supply. Although the police department has specialized forms and things that they have to actually buy. So they still have an account to carry the specialty items.
What stops
But
you?
the
from taking-
overall office supplies
So,
were all consolidated into
No.
one so that they could do generalized purchasing at a better rate. So the whole idea to save money was to buy it.
so that's the
all
thing.
from
So what you do, but I would still say you have to do separate, because what's gonna stop me from coming here? Kids going back to school, need some pencils, pens, need some folders. People do that at Cisco all day long. They'll go in the office and just take markers, whiteboards, this and
I think
that.
they do it everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. So that, it's just like,
But the Board of Health has to pay for all those things.
but the way that you control that from the different vendor thing, you say, everybody, the Board of Selectmen have to say, you can only use CDW,
We have
or,
Amazon,
then that's it. That's all you use.
but not every department has an Amazon account.
Right.
But that should be doable.
Yes.
And then that way they get an invoice and
They choose
if they
what
have an
paper they-
expense line, then it.
Like, cause you have different prices for paper, and that's get you paper, but don't go to, whatever the other place is, or Staples or something.
Staples,
Run to
yeah.
the local supermarket because you're running low and you don't want to drive somewhere and you're buying $10 a ream.
Oh
of
my
papers.
God.
I mean, an example is we ran out of paper this week.
Yeah.
But a huge printing happened. And so it wasn't planned for.
Am I hearing Paul correctly? That Paul's just saying, be aware that it may be a lot of complexity over a very small amount of money? Is that what you're saying?
Actually, it was more than a small amount of money. It was quite a difference in what different departments were paying for the same thing.
So is it is that complexity not recommended and that's why it went away? It was too difficult to track? Why did it go away?
It went away basically as a cost savings and a control factor also.
Sole factor. Okay, so there's an advantage to not having each department. Am I saying there's an advantage to every department not having their own envelope accounts for tracking purposes?
Well, an idea, okay? I mean, the police department could have 6 cases of copy paper, okay? There could be 10 cases here. He could have 3 cases with the Board of Health, you know? You could have so much surplus and not even realize it, and it's basically wasting money. If it's all consolidated and controlled at one point, you have an idea on inventory, you know what cost is, and you also can, have budget control also, because it's all coming out of one account.
So I think Paul raises a really good point, and I don't know that we're going to solve it tonight, Alan. So I defer to you on that.
Yeah, no, it needs to be reviewed. And I think it's what Aaron and I were saying, that this all should be looked at. That's one of the things that I think should be looked at. I think Paul's correct. There's pros and cons to going either way.
The way to having it at the.
But right now, it's just sort of random.
Right,
There's
but-
no control in
Yeah,
place.
I'll leave it at this, but like having it here generally, that's cool. But then you need an inventory tracking system.
Right, and then you need someone to monitor it.
And then like, here, all right, here's 100 reams of paper. We have to mark it off that's going to Board of Health or whoever.
Yeah.
There's more than one way to solve it.
Yeah, I agree.
And a system is probably the start, and I don't think we had a system.
Well, I think starting with figuring out what happened with Mitel would be a good starting point. If you guys can maybe ask Lori to do that. She'll probably respond quicker if you guys ask for that resolution. And Maribel, again, tells me every month she sends to the accountant how to break it out.
Yeah.
So there's an email trail somewhere.
We sign it when we sign the warrant.
You sign the warrants for it, yeah.
Do.
So it's
We do.
going out. Someone has that information, so we should try to find it as a starting point.
So just roughly going through the departments with their phone bills, $14,000.
Okay, yeah, I thought it was 12, 13 a month, yeah, so a year.
Here, thank you.
So, okay, the only other thing I have on our agenda, gentlemen, is to approve the 12/6/23 meeting minutes. Both of you, I know, read through them and said they were,
Yes,
so
that
I
was good.
propose a motion that the minutes from December 6, 2023 be approved as drafted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And that concludes what I had on our agenda. Don, do you have anything else on yours, or?
No?
I attended the Rural Affairs Director Ann Goby's meeting today.
Oh, yeah.
And very well attended. They introduced the new grant writer that will be working directly with Ann for rural communities. And the One Stop grant came up, and I emailed the new person, Mallory, and asked if I could connect with her at one point to understand more about the One Stop grant. But the consensus of all of the people on the call was that this was going to be a very, very bad budget year. And that communities needed to buckle up. It'll be a year like we've not had in a very long time.
That's good news 3 days in.
Oh,
Well, I do believe
could-
Alan,
I
I
could
believe
see it
Alan
coming.
stood up at the
I
last
knew
meeting
that.
and warned everyone about that.
yeah.
I wonder
No.
why.
We knew that was coming.
And it's, we don't even know how bad it is because of the migrant issue and the spending from, was it
Been a lot of
stabilization?
spending the
Where are
last
they
few
spending
years.
all that money from?
Been a lot of spending.
Yeah, the rainy day fund, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of spending the last few years.
And I believe the FinCom went on record applauding the Board of Selectmen for holding the budget at 2% and pointing out to the residents how impressive that was last year alone.
Yeah, really.
And just so, and I believe all the FinCom was in agreement at the time that we were going to be looking at either severe budget cuts or tax
Yeah.
increases if the
In the
school
future.
budget went the way it was
Yeah.
going.
Basically, we need to expect less money from the state going
Yep.
forward.
Yeah,
It's good information.
Because there was talk at one point last fall of expecting some town hall building funds. And today that was pretty much squashed.
Oh.
Okay, with that, I will adjourn the FinCom meeting at 7:20.
Second.
All in favor?
I-
Board of Selectmen adjourned 7:20.